Hello and welcome to my talk on gender equality. The contrast of gender roles and equality across the globe is astounding. While some women in parts of the world are still governed by their male counterparts and denied basic human rights such as an education or even the right to walk into a workplace, such as places like Islam and people controlled by the Taliban, but there are other women in the world that are considered privileged to be able to have even reached the glass ceiling. Neither one of these cases are considered equal to their male counterparts, and this is an issue. The penguin effect. To explain this concept further, I would like to use a furry friend as an example. Penguins are known as the most gender equal species known to man. There is literally no role as such assigned to each gender of penguin. The responsibilities of parenting are shared 50-50, with the couple taking turns to mind the egg or baby penguin, whilst the other forages for food in the ocean for months at a time. For human application, because parenting is split equally, both the male and female have equal opportunity to fish for food or jobs. If we humans were to take a single page out of the Book of Penguins, we would be miles closer to reaching gender equality. Currently, there are multiple barriers in the way of closing this gap. These include workplaces not providing equal pay for work of comparable value, unequal opportunity for participation in the workplace between genders, limited access to leadership roles for females, and conscious or unconscious bias towards women in relation to their family roles. Let's have a look at this issue at home in Australia. There is a prevalent concern in the workplace for gender equality. There is a 13.9% pay gap between Australian men and women. The gender pay gap directly impacts on Australian women who make up 51% of the population. From this statistic, it can be established that the impact of discrimination via the gender pay gap is having adverse effects on over half of the Australian population. Now let's take this globally. According to the National Geographic's 2019 study titled Women, Peace and Security Index, no one country in the world can provide women with inclusion in society, a sense of security, and be prevented from exposure to discrimination. Basically, we can't have it all. Then let's see who topped the list and who is sitting at rock bottom. So Norway, here we can see their results from the index. Only just taking out number one position from Iceland, who recently lost many female seats in government in an election. There is still room for improvement in educational and employment opportunities in Norway, but it is heartwarming to know that Norwegian women do feel secure in their places of living and there is a fair justice system in place. Compare this to Yemen. That's a lot of red. Inclusion of women in opportunities open to them is at a very low percentage. There is little safety and discrimination is everywhere. There is one plus that we can take away from this otherwise negative result. The sun bias at the end is in the blue. This means that it has improved over time. Sun bias is a popular tradition in China and India, where ultrasounds of unborn children are conducted to find out the sex before they're given birth to. This is so that if it's a female, then an abortion is performed and they're preventing the amount of females in the population. It is suggested that in Yemen that this statistic has improved due to them not being able to develop their technology to improve the amount of testing that they can do. Whilst history has seen through 3 waves of feminism fighting for equality, the gender pay gap still supports and maintains the lesser value of women, thus preserving the status quo of traditional yet discriminatory gender roles of society. There has been a change in social norms and an expectancy gap between what is presented by organisations in regards to wages and what is expected. Overall, women are still not considered an equal counterpart to their males, and this bias is impacting hiring and pay decisions. Let's look at the key challenges. The key challenges facing contemporary practitioners in the public relations industry is that old habits die hard and stereotypes are persisting. There is a generational issue. As part of the new generation of public relation and communication professionals emerging into the industry, there is a hope that we will not share the same misogynistic values as those before us, and the gap will be closed through conscious decision-making and awareness of underlying discrimination that is still present in the workplace. Old habits die hard. There is a cultural prevention, as we've just spoken about, that's stopping society from evolving, and that there is a very old, yet very still present, bias against the abilities and role of women that has not been eradicated. Conscious or not, women are still perceived as the main parental figure and inferior to the male counterparts of the same education or ability in the workplace. Stereotypes are persistent. Industrialisation is a phase where women enter the paid workforce and have improved their educational and governmental representation opportunities. But there is still a power imbalance between men and women, and this is due to ongoing stereotypes. Post-industrialisation is a phase which only half the world has reached. This sees a rise in women management and influence as a shift towards gender equality takes shape. We have now entered a post-industrial phase, but must eliminate pre-industrialisation stereotypes. But what can we do? If anyone knew how to solve the problem of discrimination in the workplace, it would have already happened. But more specifically, what can we do as public relations practitioners to share awareness and increase advocacy? Let's take a look at awareness. This type of information needs to be disseminated to the general public. There is documents and research studies that acknowledge the pace of progress has been painfully slow for gender equality. And there needs to be a strong leadership in addressing these issues. Public relations, as a profession, are in a position of power. We advise organisations on appropriate response to issues as a major function of our industry. Use this position to advise the importance of equitable treatment of employees, customers, and other publics. A campaign that focuses on the root of the problem could achieve greater results than any other public advocacy for the rights of women. Not that these aren't important, and they have achieved great results in the past. I believe a tactic response is now necessary, working from the inside of a company to external customers. Focusing on a current client database and ensuring they are adherent to anti-discrimination practices is a way PR practitioners can harness their skills in a positive reinforcement and raise awareness for an important issue to organisations they already know will value their advice. What about advocacy? If we want women in these positions, we must be capable of performing them. We don't want to smash through the glass ceiling only to fall off the glass cliff. Research shows women get appointed to leadership roles in very difficult circumstances, thus an increased risk to fail and of course a higher dismissal rate compared to men. Put frankly, these organisations believe if it can't get any worse, then we might as well appoint a female leader. Seeking out candidates for board and leadership positions and educating women to be eligible for these positions through leadership courses, workshops, even camps would be a fantastic advocacy project. The course could not only provide leadership skills and training, but in-depth exploration of gender discrimination and tactical combat techniques. Whilst this is not a public relations practitioner's forte as such, the advertising and promotion of such initiatives is. And providing advice on how to overcome discrimination or respond to a crisis are skills that all PR practitioners hold. The second advocacy project that could be implemented is to support a fairer society and encouraging mutual parenting, going back to the penguin effect. Supporting stay-at-home father programs and legislation that is supporting this, like dad and partner pay, would further eradicate pre-industrialisation stereotypes of women whilst enlisting the help of males to share that diaper changing. But where to from here? By now we have reached the Noah principle. There's no more prizes for predicting the rain, only prizes for building the ark. We need to take a new, more calculated approach. This issue has been stagnant for so long that we need to build a new vessel of response instead of just watching the rain fall. From here, if we implement the suggested advocacy and awareness strategies to persist against stereotypes and the biased habits of those in power, we will achieve greatness. And by greatness, I mean equality. Thank you for listening to my TED Talk. Female would have equal opportunity for humans